It's a new week, so you know what that means. It's a new missed retrospective episode coming to you guys right here on YouTube. And this conversation was probably one of my favorites, only because I like hearing how people got inspired or maybe talking about a match that doesn't get talked about a lot, that meant a lot to somebody for a different reason than you would expect. Now, I'm talking to Gaspar Hernandez here for tonight's episode, and here's the thing. That guy's a giant. You would think that maybe he would be like, let's talk about Razor Ramon, let's talk about Undertaker, let's talk about Big Show, Andre the Giant, right? But the fact that he wanted to talk about the Bret Hart match instead was kind of cool, because it's a completely different style than you would see him employ in the ring. He can take something from that performance and still apply it to his own style by taking the teachings of somebody else. And it's a cavalcade of things, right? I hope that makes sense. But the conversation was great. Probably one of my favorite episodes, getting to sit down with somebody and talking about their experience through wrestling through a different lens, right? The modern lens, as we like to talk about here on the Missed Retrospective. But again, this one does not have video yet. I will get that soon. I promise. I promise. But without further ado, enjoy my conversation with Gaspar Hernandez here for the Missed Retrospective as we talk Bret Hart versus Mr. Perfect from Summerslam 1991. I have brought you quite possibly the biggest guest that I have had quite yet here at Missed Retrospective with Kirby Carreon. I'm just saying that not just because he's tall as hell, but also because he's one of the biggest names here at Reality of Wrestling. Currently, I have the giant, the only wrestler that matters, the former Reality of Wrestling champion, Gaspar Hernandez, and we're going to be talking a very special match, which we'll get into in a second. But first and foremost, Gaspar, how you doing, dude?
I'm doing very well, but you missed one thing in my introduction.
I always miss stuff.
Yes, and I'm going to call it out right now. 2-time Reality of Wrestling champion.
Am I forgetting stuff already from last year?
You're the historian.
Dude, I fail at things. I literally have to look at my notes before we do stuff.
Goodness gracious. Look at this.
I forget things. You're a former Texas champion, former tag team champion. I'm gonna throw everything, all the titles at you until you say no.
No. I am. Yeah, I have to have the record for shortest reign ever.
Because you got cashed in on, right?
I got cashed in on.
Okay, yeah, you're right. You got cashed in on, but then you won it, and then you dropped it? No, you won it as Sub-Zero. That's right. You won it as Sub-Zero. I remember this now. And okay, I do remember. And then you sided back with Booker T. I remember this now. See, I was like, I wasn't calling the shots then on the commentary, so that's why I forgot. It's iffy whenever I'm not calling it.
But okay, 2-time champion.
I'm resetting the record. We're restarting this episode. But Gaspar, thank you so much for joining me here on this. I heard that you've had a blast listening to these episodes thus far, and I'm glad that you have, because I want to bring in as many people to the show as possible, because as I mentioned in the previous episode, we're all from different walks of life. And if it wasn't for professional wrestling, our paths may not have crossed, or it may have taken longer for them to cross. And I know a little bit about your past. You talk about the music and everything. But before we get into that, why don't you let the people know a little bit about you? That way they can kind of see what your perspective is coming into this, to wrestling and this podcast, like your experience and knowledge.
Okay, so you already set such a high bar with Kevin. Promise. Ryan is all like, okay, now you come down to me, because
no, we're up. We're going up to you.
I'll take it, but I'm very much like, I think probably like more of the greener guys that you've had so far, because I'm only have about 5 years experience with wrestling. But as far as knowing about wrestling or being familiar with it, I've been watching since I was like 10 years old, since like 94. And I had my little dip out of wrestling around my teen years, when I was really focused on music, playing in a punk rock band, trying to tour and record and stuff like that. But once that all kind of fell by the wayside, I did rediscover wrestling, and then the opportunity presented itself to go ahead and have chase one last dream.
Hell yeah. So I guess what got you to come back into wrestling after you took that dip? Like you said, there was like one opportunity to come back into it. Like, how did that find its way to you?
It was, my weekends were completely open. I was done gigging and playing shows for the most part. pretty much had like one foot out already, just spent on the whole experience. But then I had a friend named Mike DeMonte. He's probably like known. He's a well-known writer, probably most known for like, I guess, his expertise in aliens. I think, he does like a lot of stuff with like Fox 26 and stuff like that for like anytime they have a kind of alien stuff. So they always gave him a call. But he was a guy that I knew from the scene. He was also like a music guy, punk rock a lot, really into like Alkaline Trio and Blink-182 and things like that. And I just kind of rediscovered it, like just on the watching Raw one day, and I was like, man, I remember this. Let me hop back into this. And then I had that connection with Mike DeMonte, who was still very much an avid wrestling fan. We started, getting together, watching pay-per-views together, having parties and things like that. And yeah, and then the opportunity presented itself, so yeah, I signed up.
Hell yeah. And that's just how you find your way to reality wrestling?
Well, I already knew about reality wrestling because when I rediscovered wrestling again after my music, I actually did come down here to a couple shows. Reality wrestling is right here in my backyard. I'm Houston born, bred, so, and obviously Booker. I know the name Booker, so yeah, I started coming down here, started looking at some of the indie stuff before joining.
Hell yeah. So you said that you were a fan before when you were like 10 years old in 1994, and then you took a dip, and then now you're back. So back in 1994, who were some of your favorites?
Number one, I connected largely with Razor Ramon, being a Hispanic wrestler, kayfabe. I just really connected with him, and plus he was the epitome of cool. Big dude, just something that I always oh man, this guy's like the guy. This guy's the man. And yeah, he was enjoyable to watch. And then also Undertaker, just the darkness of it, the dead man character was like very much like it called out to me. And Sting was the other one, like just the ultimate babyface. I was like, something that children could just connect to, and I connected with that look and that appeal. Surfer and California and all that. It was like, that's cool.
Yeah. Cool. So I actually didn't know that about you, the Razor Ramon thing. I knew about Undertaker. I think we've had that conversation once before, when like years ago. But you said Razor Ramon, and for some reason my brain immediately went into making that connection with Damian Priest, because Damian Priest also like big into music, also very big fan of Razor Ramon, the kayfabe Hispanic and everything like that. That's actually somebody that I want to knock off my list later on too, as we do more episodes of the show or whatever. But I've never seen a Razor Ramon match, but I do know about Scott Hall. So I'm working my way through it. But I'm surprised that in that list you didn't mention the two people that we're talking about here. We're going to be talking about Bret Hart versus Mr. Perfect from SummerSlam 91. Now, you specifically requested this matchup because you said it was your favorite.
Yes.
So before we start talking the details of how the match came about and all that stuff, why was this one chosen?
So this is actually probably one of the matches I watched the most, because as a kid, I remember going to the store and seeing like these VHSs and these WWE VHSs, and they were just like small little compilations, like the 4 or 5 matches on the tape, and it was SummerSlam's greatest hits. Like Lex Luger on one side, Yokozuna, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And the first match on that compilation was this match. Okay. And I just remember just watching it over and over and over. And the first time I popped in that video, it was the first thing I ever saw. So it really connected with it. Later on, now in wrestling, I'm able to see like why I liked it so much, and what is it about that I still go back to this one.
That's really cool. So this was the very first match you remember watching.
I'm not sure if it's the very first match I remember watching. It was the very first match I remember watching a lot. Okay. It was constantly on repeat on my VCR, so I went to it a lot.
So I'm going to make a quick connection here, because I actually think that's really cool. Do you know my first, we'll call it my first match that I've seen that I've had on repeat ever since I basically started watching wrestling?
What is it?
So the connection here is really cool, because my first one was John Cena versus The Big Show for the United States Championship.
Okay.
So you have SummerSlam, I have WrestleMania. You have the Intercontinental title, I have the US title. And it's kind of like an established star with an upcoming star. I think that's what I did, got from my research and everything. So I just think that is like really cool that it's the same story kind of being told, but in two completely different ways through two different eras. Because this was in '91 and I started in 2004. So I just think that that's really cool that this is why you chose this matchup. And again, I have that connection with John Cena, Big Show. I was like, I'm never gonna forget that match. I recently went back to rewatch it again for the first time in like 2 years because I was like, I want to see how much I remember this, how much I see now from what I know now that I've been in the business for 8 years at the time. And just seeing it through a different lens was really cool because you never really know how much you know about wrestling until you go back and watch your favorites from back then. It's like, this was here the whole time. How did I miss all this back then? Because I just you get enthralled in like the performance and the story.
Oh yeah.
But then you learn more. I guess in a sense it would be like you're a football player and you're like, well, how do I throw a spiral pass? And then you learn how to throw one, and then you see everybody throw. It's like, oh, I can tell that the arm didn't connect all the way, or you threw it, you let it go too early and stuff like that. So you can make like those little comments about it and everything. So how different was the match the first time you rewatched it after you learned a little bit more about the industry?
Well, it took me a long time. I remember asking people like, I need to watch film with you. I need to watch film with you. I remember like I had like Rudy. Why am I spacing on his last name?
Garza,
yeah, it was Gonzalez. Sorry, Rudy. Yeah, he came out to my house and like we started like just watching film and watching matches and things like, because I'm really trying to figure out the science behind it. It took. I don't think I really actually figured out how to look at a match until like maybe like this last year, where I'm able to break down the pieces and break down the gray as they say, maybe too inside, but the in-between stuff to figure out like, okay, how does it dip? How does it come up? How do you get the crowd back? And figuring out how to do all that. And now that I watch this match, it's like, oh, it's all there. It's not exactly like a by the numbers match, but it's very much, you have all the pieces there.
And it's the formula, right?
The formula.
You
yes.
have the beginning of the match where you're just working and you maybe have your technical stuff, but then there's the heat, there's the shine, there's the cutoff and everything. And then we talked about that formula quite a bit here on this show, but it's how you present that formula that creates a good match. Because then there's going to be other matches where that formula is completely thrown out the window right out of the gate. Or there's matches where it's like 90-10, where it's like 90% heat and then, 10-minute comeback and then the babyface wins or something like that. But ultimately, a basic 5-6 minute match should have this formula that we always talk about here on the show. And,
so let's go away. So let's do it slowly. So it's the babyface shine.
Yes.
The cutoff, the comeback, and then the finish. That's 4 pieces. I might
and the heel heat.
The heel heat.
Yeah.
Heel heat after the cutoff.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then, that's just seeing that formula. And again, that's whenever I watch these matches, that's kind of what I try and pay attention to see if that's followed. And then how it's, the spots that get them from one spot to the next. And, maybe playing in the gray, like you talk about.
Playing the gray was very hard for me to understand. It wasn't until Booker was up here one night, then he was like, you got to get your stuff in the beginning of the match, like as a heel. That doesn't mean the babyface is down. It's just you got to get your stuff in, and knowing how to get your stuff in, but knowing also when it's time to give it back to the babyface and let him shine.
Yeah. That's funny that you mentioned that too, because like I've heard that phrase so many times as like, you got to know who's driving, and I was like, okay, but what do you mean by that? And I've heard that so many times the first few years that I was here, and it wasn't until I did film study, I think for like the second or third time with Booker, that I was like, I see it now. And sometimes you just need to have the same thing told to you over and over and over again, maybe different ways, to where now, funny enough, I learned this later, the same is applied to commentary, because we also have like our flow that we go with, and we follow the structure of the match. And for the table, you guys talk about the wrestling match, right? Usually somebody's driving. In commentary,
it's the play-by-play that's driving. And then you just got to hand off the steering wheel to the color commentator or the analyst. And then, like, all right, cool, here, take the wheel. I'm going to just kind of sit back and let you do your thing. All right, cool, let me take back the wheel. And that's kind of the same thing that you guys do in the ring, too, with the way that the formula works. So, to now, I guess, start talking about the match, I love the fact that immediately right out of the gate, I saw the connection that Mr. Perfect had with Dolph Ziggler, because I heard a lot of times now that Dolph Ziggler was like a newer Mr. Perfect. The selling was out of this world, and this dude was just flipping off of the simplest stuff and making it look, making Bret Hart look like a star right out of the gate. Is that how you felt watching this match the first time?
Yes, it's very much Mr. Perfect selling. It's like just next level. It's like when they did the kickoff after the body slam, he does like a full like 180 from he gets hit in the chest and then falls on his chest after doing a whole turn. I was like, and it looked great. It looked powerful. Same thing when like Bret hit him within the gut right by the ropes as you see him, he kicks his feet out out like basically almost horizontal, like. It makes sense though, but he's doing just a little bit extra. It makes sense, but it's just with a little bit extra, a little bit more of that pizzazz in there. That like makes it, and it got the crowd. If you listen to that gut shot where he kicks his feet out, you hear the crowd go, "Oh!" It's like it makes it feel impactful.
Yeah. That was another thing too. Like the crowd, I talked about this in literally the previous episode that I just recorded. The crowd didn't seem as involved as they are now, because now you hear them chanting all the time. Whenever there's like a hope spot, they start clapping and everything, and then you're trying to get the crowd back in. How different do you think the crowds are back then compared to now?
Well, obviously that the secret was a lot more protected back then. I mean, it's you see actual investment in the audience, as opposed to just, well, we're here for a show and we're here to enjoy the performance of it, and we're going to play our part. Hey, this is awesome when the double down is occurring, or a fight forever chant is like, people are there to enjoy the show, but also kind of be a part of the show. Back then, just the actual wanting Bret Hart to win, hating Perfect. It's just so genuine, and we can never go back to it, but it's such an amazing time to watch that sort of like genuine feelings.
Yeah. Once the cat's out of the bag for professional wrestling, you can't go back in. It's like Santa Claus. Sorry, kids.
Hey, come on now.
I'm sorry. Kids
Jerk.
shouldn't be listening to this show. It's explicit for a reason.
I kept it clean earlier when I said get your stuff in.
I know. People knew what you were talking about though. No, it's really funny to think about that the wrestling's kind of like that. Like once the cat's out of the bag, it can't go back in. And it makes me think of like when I was a kid, like how stuff made me feel. I can go back and watch it now, and it probably still kind of makes me feel that way, because now my brain isn't like, oh, this is really what's happening. Like it's like I'm watching a TV show, right? Now I'm just like, man, this performance is still moving me because this is what it means to me. I can tell you right now, John Cena winning the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 21 probably holds the same weight as Sami Zayn winning the NXT title, except one of them, I still thought wrestling was real. The other one, it was just because I saw myself in a character.
So there was still a part of your wrestling experience where you actually thought it was real?
Yes. No,
okay.
like I was like 15, I think, when it finally, I'm going to tell you right now, I was a very sheltered kid.
Okay.
Very sheltered kid. I did not learn about a lot of things until way later in life. And it's because, my family was very protective and whatnot. And I think that's why I love wrestling, because that was like the one thing that I had for myself, because my sister was never wrestling. Nobody in my family is a wrestling fan. I'm the only one that's loved wrestling. And that's because, middle school, everybody kind of watched, and I was like, hey, what's this? And somebody let me borrow a tape, and it was WrestleMania 20. But it's amazing to me that like some people are like, oh, it's fake, I'm out, deuces. But then, a lot of people now, like especially Chris Van Vliet, he says this a lot. It's like, well, Game of Thrones is a TV show. It's the same thing. It's like you're watching TV, right? So why are you judging this for being fake, but you're not judging this for being fake when it's just TV, right?
It's like, have you ever cried at a movie?
Yeah, exactly. It's entertainment, right? It's okay to feel things, because that's kind of the performance. It's supposed to make you feel things.
So let me ask you a question. Was there ever a point where you had like a deep seething anger when you saw something, a baby face, get wronged or anything like that, or get turned on? Was there like anything like just something in your chest just like burns, dude, or you're like, ah, no.
Funny enough, this is the first time I'm sharing this story outside of my wife. I had that feeling with John Cena versus Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. I literally, then again, that was recent, right? That was literally
recent,
this
yes.
year. That was literally this year. Because the way that I explained it to my wife, like the reason I got so emotional and so angry and just kind of like, just it hit me to my core. A lot of people are gonna be like, well, that was a terrible match. It was not what it needed to be. It was a showdown of two giants, and that's fine. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. And even though it may not have been a 5-star classic, I think it was a sensational match because for me, as a John Cena fan, I felt like I was watching my dad just turn his back on me, and everything that he taught me throughout my life was all a lie. And it sucked because I was like, I looked up to you. You were my hero. You were this. And now it's like, was it all just a lie? Like, did it never matter? Like, it made me feel the way that it was supposed to make me feel. And maybe I'm one of the few that understood that part of it, which is fine. Like everybody's going to take art for whatever they want and everything. But that's probably like the most recent one where I'm like, yeah, dude, like this made me angry. It made me like very upset. And it wasn't even about Cody losing. It was about John Cena winning the way that he did. Cause I was like, I don't like this. Like, it felt very uncomfortable because it was like watching a very supportive parent that's always been supporting to you for your entire life, all of a sudden tell you that everything they've been teaching you is wrong and they mean it. And again, that's how I interpreted it. And I was like, I hate this. I don't like this. It made me feel very uncomfortable.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to be around for it when Hogan turned, and that was very much like a shocking. Like I was so excited. Like I didn't watch it on pay-per-view. Someone gave me the VHS recording of it, and he's like, "Dude, you gotta watch this. Like, don't watch anything else." But no, it was actually the recap. Sorry, it was the recaps. I saw the recap the next day on Nitro, and just being so excited, seeing not knowing what was gonna happen. Oh, Hogan's gonna help out. Hogan's gonna help out. And then he turns like, just mouth drop.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I can't imagine what. I mean, I kind of can because we had the John Cena turn, but I'm like just seeing that moment itself because Bret Hart is, or not, sorry, Bret Hart, Hulk Hogan is Hulk Hogan at the time. Like he's at the peak of his popularity. He's like the biggest face. To see that happen, I can't imagine how like your heart must have just dropped. Oh, yeah. That's just crazy to think about that we've managed to have that in, I guess, like 3 generations now. Because I mean, there's been massive heel turns as well. Like Seth Rollins' turn, maybe not to that level, but there's like people that love Seth Rollins as the face, Shield and everything. But to have that generational star, I guarantee you, it's probably going to happen with Cody. And that's going to be so jarring to see with a lot of kids that, got the fake neck tattoos and everything. It's going to be pretty crazy to see. But yeah, so we kind of got off the rails there talking about that matchup. But to bring it back to Bret Hart and Mr. Perfect, I actually wrote this in my notes and I had a question. Had Bret Hart won a championship before this?
Just tag. This was his,
so his first singles.
This was his singles, and I wasn't watching. This was like a little bit before my time. This was '91, but just doing the research, I find out that this was because they tried giving him a push at one time before, and they kind of like they went back to the tag team, and then this was like his coronation. One of the things I told you, like, hey, do you want me to give you a note to look out for? And
yes.
Yes. So right now I'm going to tell you what it is. The commentary on this match.
That's actually next that I have here. This commentary team.
Oh my god, dude! They put it's Bret Hart going for a championship, but you have Bobby Heenan, you have Roddy Piper going like he's fighting for his career. It's like his career wasn't never on the line, but they put those kind of words out there, and they made me believe like this everything is. This match is holding all the marbles, everything for each one of them.
Yeah.
And I mean, I bit hard on that commentary.
Hell yeah. And that's the commentary's job, right? Like, I'm going to peel back the curtain on commentary a little bit. But if the babyface is going over, you kind of want to start, planting the seeds of like not necessarily doubt, but like, can he do it? And asking yourself that question of can he do it? And that way, when it wins, like, holy crap, they did it. But if the heel's going over, then you still want to try and put the babyface over as like, well, this is what he's done. This is his career, et cetera, et cetera. Because then at that point, you're not burying the face, but you're seeing how big of a win it would be for the heel. So when I started hearing commentary, I don't look at finishes before I watch these matches, and unless it's like an iconic match that I already know the finish to because it's again iconic. This one I didn't know the finish to. So when I started listening to commentary, I listened to Heenan and I listened to Roddy Piper. And I was like, I think Bret Hart's going over, because the way that they were telling that story, they were not burying him, but they were just doing their thing. And this is actually the first time I've heard Bobby Heenan on commentary full on for a full match, and that dude is hilarious, dude. Holy crap! I need to listen
this
more.
is the first time listening to
First
Heenan
time.
through.
Yeah.
Oh,
Again,
man.
this is why this show
Dude,
exists.
this is amazing, dude.
Yeah, so it was seeing him or listening to him tell that story of in his own way, because I know Heenan is like the epitome of a heel commentator. Some of the comments that they've made, I'm like, holy crap! Like this is good stuff, but it's not my wheelhouse, because I'm not the color commentator. I'm a play-by-play guy.
So do you remember any like specific lines that kind of like really like made you feel something?
It was. I was mostly laughing just because it was like such outrageous stuff. And it was Roddy Piper, Heenan. Who was the third person?
Gorilla Monsoon.
Okay, that's what I thought. I've always heard, and I've always like seen the lines like, "Will you stop?" But hearing him say it over and over again, I was like, "There it is." Okay, now I know like the actual, not necessarily the origin of it, but like a common thread for other commentary teams that I've always heard is like, "Will you stop?" And I see it happen a lot on Reddit whenever they're talking about the Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty turn. It's just like, he jumped over the barbershop window. It's like, will you stop? But it's classic, Then I like the fact that I got to see it in action, or listen to it in action for the first time, especially in a match where, like you said, it's the coronation, right?
Yes.
The first time you win a singles title, especially something as prestigious as the Intercontinental title, you want to make sure that that moment is sold in a great way. And something that I also noticed is we talk about how matches are put together on the show. So I like the fact that I could tell Bret Hart was the face coming into this. Mr. Perfect was the heel, coming out with the coach, which at first I was like, is that Bill Alfonso? And I was like, no,
because
wait.
of the whistle.
Yeah, because oh my God. I don't think you've heard this episode yet, because it's the one with Gustavo, which is coming out soon. But we talk about Bill Alfonso, and I was so triggered by that whistle nonstop. And I was like, please don't let it happen in this match. Please don't let it happen in this match.
I think Bill Alfonso was actually probably a referee during that time, or maybe just like recently left at that moment.
But I was, as soon as I started hearing the whistle, I was like, I'm getting flashbacks to that episode of Gustavo, because I was like, I can't do this. But again, that's you leaving your mark on a match and just your presence, right? But yeah, I like the way that that was clearly defined. And we talk. Booker tells us this a lot too. The babyface knows how to wrestle. The heel is going to find ways to take shortcuts. I like the fact that I looked at the timestamp whenever Mr. Perfect finally started getting offense in. He hit almost no moves other than just trying to escape from Bret Hart's, whatever he was, the technical stuff.
And how did he try to escape?
10 minutes.
But how did he try to escape?
He was just cheating. He was using the ropes. He was escaping.
He was using the hair.
Yeah,
because that
he grabbed the hair. Yeah.
The hair thing was like, that was something that I think I've even pulled that stuff out like over here in practice matches. Like, hey, I'm gonna yank on your hair. I'm gonna yank on your hair. All right, when I push you up against the rope, yank on my hair and pull me back into your headlock. And yeah, dude, because that thing was like, it's something so simple. He's gonna cheat. He's going to yank the hair. I mean, he yanked him back too. And yeah, and then he reversed it by doing the same thing, but he's just giving it to him like he got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to kind of put more on that too, it again, I feel like I'm going to sound like a broken record saying this over and over again on every episode, but it felt like a fight.
Yes.
It didn't feel choreographed. It didn't feel like, like now, and again, I'm not shitting on today's wrestling, because I love wrestling overall, but it didn't feel choreographed. They didn't follow like the squares, so to speak, on the ring that we talk about placement and everything, where like the ring is divided into squares and everything. It didn't feel like that, even though you could, if you look, that they're following that, but it looks so natural. And it was just like, it didn't feel like they're like, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. There's like, hey, watch the punch. That's it. That's all they have to say.
I will say that they did have a lot of practice from what I understand. Like, because back then, the house shows, that was just like kind of like dress rehearsal for like the match. So I'm pretty sure like a lot of that stuff they had to have like worked out like. But yeah, there are certain things that just seem so natural. Maybe they would have done something like like when Bret Hart threw Mr. Perfect into the corner. He's begging off and he's getting inside the rope. And then what does Bret Hart do? He climbs on top of the rope with a fist ready to like pounce on him. Yeah. But to just show that dominance and say like he's going to give it to him, if he needs to, by any means, because this title is on the line. Yeah. And I like that you brought up the close fist, actually, because that was one of the cutoffs that Mr. Perfect did in the corner out of Earl Hebner's view.
Which, funny enough, Earl Hebner popped me only because he's so animated, and I'm only used to TNA Earl Hebner, so he's a little bit later in his career and everything. But to see him be so animated, it made me start thinking about like how different the referee role was back then. Because now obviously we know they have the earpiece, they they communicate times and everything. So now I'm wondering like, and I'm gonna try and ask Jason Ayers this because I know he'll probably have a little bit more information on this.
You got Jason on the show?
I'm not on an episode yet. I'm hoping eventually. Okay. Eventually, I would love to. But next time I see him, probably this Saturday.
He's practically here, like all the time.
Yeah. Hopefully this Saturday, I'll get to chat with him for glory.
Man, he's great.
But I want to know like how involved referees were back then, because now they give time cues, and I love that episode of WWE Unreal where they kind of put a spotlight on referees to show, like what they do and everything. But it really felt like Earl Hebner was a part of this matchup, because you could see him get in the faces of of the wrestlers, like, hey, you have a closed fist, like no closed fist, and you've seen that cutoff happen. If you were to see it now, the referee was like, hey, like no close fist or whatever. But Mr. Perfect had to craft that moment specifically to get the close fist to where, Bret Hart falls back, and that gives him the space that he needs to then start the heat. Because that was the cutoff for the heat. There was no comeback after that until pretty much the ending, which, like I said, was like 10 minutes into the match. And then at that point, I was wondering, does he even have a moveset? Because he hasn't done anything other than just cheat. And that's the simplicity of it. That's how simple it was back then. Because now, like Booker says, get your shit in, right? But it was starting to wonder. I was like, I've always heard about Mr. Perfect. Was he just selling? Like, was that his career, just selling? Or did he actually have a moveset? And then that's when he started pulling off the moveset. I was like, okay, there it is. Okay, now I see it.
Oh, yeah, like that knee lift he does. He basically, like, punts air.
Yeah.
And it just looks so big and huge.
Yeah. So it was just really cool just, seeing the match develop the way that it did. Because then after that cutoff, again, it was just heat up until the finish, which the finish we'll talk about in a second. But the simplicity of the match was just really cool. Do you think a simple match like this could work in today's environment?
Oh, yeah, obviously. I think that's part of the reason why I chose this match, because I could have gone with Razor Ramon, Shawn Michaels, ladder match, but I wanted to pick a match that, yes, I do identify with it a lot, but it's also two guys in a ring, no real gimmicks, and it's just like simple storytelling that is able to capture an audience, and I definitely feel like it definitely could. I definitely feel that we can have that kind of match today. I don't see why I wouldn't. Do you feel like we need like a lot more extra stuff in there to?
I think it may be just an attention span thing, because that's something that I keep hearing from today's people is like it's just an attention span thing. That's why we got to fit in stuff a little bit more. But then I think of a match like AJ Styles and John Cena that just happened at Crown Jewel. After a while, it was literally just trading back and forth finishers, paying homage to the people of their careers and everything. And it makes me think, like, can a match just be this simple? But then obviously you have to think about the reason that worked is because these two guys have had 25-year careers to where they could pay homage to people. I was like, oh, I get that. I understand it.
But then that match, though, it's not really a simple match, because you have and I don't want to use this in a bad way, but you do have the crutch of like, oh, that's that move. Oh, that's a move. Oh, that's a move. That move. Eliminate that.
Yeah.
Could that match work? I think so, because I think that match was Royal Rumble, AJ Styles and John Cena.
Oh yeah, no, that was sensational. I was
match.
there. Yeah.
You were there at that one?
That's amazing.
So was I.
Dude, it was that's probably my favorite match that I've seen live. Maybe next to John Cena and Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens, John Cena, it was special because I was a big Kevin Owens fan, and just seeing that happen clean was insane at the time. And then obviously Cena winning number 16 against AJ Styles. The first time he pulled off the double AA was insane. I have never, well, I have since, but at that time I had never given a match a standing ovation. That was the first one I immediately just got up and I was like, holy shit, that was incredible. But yeah, no, like it was, like you said, it was the goodwill of the 25-year careers that they've had. But, I started thinking about like the simplicity of these matches, and I'm starting to think like, I feel like that could be a gimmick on its own now. That is like, I'm not going to deliver like this crazy match or something like that. Maybe just make it like I am like a vintage wrestler, so to speak. And if done well, I think it could work. But again, that's just me being hopeful that any gimmick can work.
I think going back to like Kevin Bernhardt's match, the Rey Mysterio versus Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah.
I mean, same thing. I mean, it was a little bit more high flying.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing. Babyface like trying to get over on the heel, and you got the overpowering heel that just keeps stomping him down with the whole spots in there. This is what this match was. I feel just not as much size difference.
Mm-hmm.
It's more like equal. But from the moment that lockup happened between Bret and Perfect, what do we say out here? What's the number one thing like?
What's on the marquee?
Yeah. Well, what's the number one thing that you're going to see that you better get him on this or else you lose him throughout the match? It's the lockup.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a crap lockup, why am I watching this?
Yeah.
And you see that lockup was crisp, strong, and we're right in there with it.
It's like two bulls going right
Exactly.
at it. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
From the lockup to something that I really liked and something that I hadn't pointed out yet was the headlock takeovers.
Oh, yes.
Dude, the headlock takeovers were smooth as fuck. Like I think it was like the third one where Mr. Perfect was getting a little bit more frustrated. The way he fed into it, and then I always hear like slow down, right? You want to go slow and make sure that you're safe. And I've seen headlock takeovers be performed to where they have to grab the head and then all right, 1, 2, 3, go, and then you go. But the way Bret Hart just took him over, it was so simple, and I was like, is he hurt? Like that looked. If it was anybody else, I was like, oh, dude, they look hurt. Like that was, But the fact that it was these two, I was like, that looks smooth, dude. Holy crap! Like they were sensational.
Yeah, well, that's definitely like the trying to get that headlock takeover on the run. Like you kind of want to be crisp with it, but man, did he run into that thing? Mm-hmm. It was like he was going. To me, the way I saw it, like he was going for a tackle and just like a bullfighter. Here comes Bret Hart, just takes him right over, and it was just. Like you saw the intent, and that's what Booker has always said. Like, there's times to like, rest and get your breath in, but when it's time to go, it's time to go. All right, headlock takeover, let's go, and boom. Yeah.
It makes me think of like if they counted, if they're like if Bret Hart just goes like, all right, go. It's like wait, what? And it's. I guess that's where the house shows come into play, right? You said the dress rehearsals. That makes me think of like how much did they practice beforehand? Did they have a match on TV before this that you're aware of?
I can't think of for sure, but I know like they were doing the house show loop, and this is me watching some other YouTube video that watching it. Yeah, but apparently they were going through like the house shows, like different types of. I think the last one they did on the like Perfect one. But yeah, as far as television, I don't know.
How long had Mr. Perfect been the Intercontinental Champion at this point? Do you know? No. Okay. That's okay. That's like tiny details, right? But I like the fact that the commentary, the moment itself, just watching the match, not knowing prior, because I do my research after. That way I'm not spoiled with anything that I do research with and everything. It very much felt like they were positioning Bret Hart to be that guy. And even in the match itself, it very much felt like that, because you always want to see the babyface win, and because they earned it, because they not only got that spot, but also they're just the better competitor. It very much felt throughout the entire match, as simple as it was, as no big wrist move that happened or anything like that. It very much felt like Bret Hart was the better guy that day, and Mr. Perfect just had to keep taking shortcuts, whether it was by grabbing the hair or using the ropes, going to the outside to catch his breath, getting distractions from the coach or something like that. It felt like the epitome of this is Bret Hart's best showing yet at that point, which was early. It was like 91. So there was like no Shawn Michaels stuff yet happening, for the WWE title. There's the screw job is not years away. The WrestleMania 13 match is still years away and stuff like that. So it very much felt like that, like the coronation, like you said.
Yeah, it's Bret Hart's been around. He's around since like 88 was maybe the first time he was at WrestleMania 2. So he was at.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, that's the first one I remember seeing like Bret Hart in was WrestleMania 2. He was in that. He was thinking he was in a Battle Royal or something like that. Yeah, but he was at WrestleMania 2, and so he's been with the company. That had to be like then like 6 years, and but he was always a tag guy, and finally they were like, okay, we're going to try and make you guys. We're trying to make you as a single, partly, but also because I think Perfect was hurt, had like a back injury, and heard that he had like a tailbone broken, but he still went in there and wanted to get that match over, so make sure that Bret Hart got his moment. It seemed like at the time the Intercontinental Champion, which is my favorite championship, which is the best for me, the best looking design, and it always seemed like they really had their eras as far as like who held it. You know, the earliest I can remember is like maybe the Macho Man. Am I missing some people? But yeah, Perfect definitely had his moment. It kind of, you know, went between some other people every now and then, like Texas Tornado and things like that. But Perfect was the guy for most majority. Then Bret Hart. Then it was like Shawn Michaels. Then it was like Razor Ramon. And then you had eventually got to what, like maybe Jeff Jarrett for like a while. You know, Triple H, Rock. They definitely, I in my mind from that time, there was always like sort of like some guy that they always were like ready to push up to that next level. And Mr. Perfect, like he had his time. He was ready to retire. The back injuries. He had the Lloyd's of London contract that was ready to pay him out for the rest of his life. And then he's all like, okay, let me just get this one match in. And then Bret Hart went off with it. And yeah, so that was sort of like the predecessor before getting to that championship. It's like, let's see how you do with this championship and move on. I'm assuming I wasn't there.
Yeah. It's crazy to think that Mr. Perfect was hurt during this match because I couldn't tell.
You couldn't tell?
And now I'm going to go back and look at like how many back bumps did he not take, or how did he land on his side or anything like that? Because I know usually when your back is hurt, you can't do that. I have a very weak lower back, so I know that I can't take back bumps, and that's why I don't wrestle. But you know, that's now I'm going to be paying attention to that detail to see how much I can see that Bret Hart was protecting him, because we hear all the interviews from Bret Hart. It's all about safety for him and everything. He may have been snug, he may have actually hit you in certain spots or whatever, but at the end of the day, it was a safe bump that he was going to make sure that you made it home. So I'm going to go back and watch this probably later tonight and be like, okay, how close was this to maybe being a disaster? Because I mean, having a broken tailbone is no joke.
Well, I mean, go and watch that atomic drop he gave him. He takes an atomic drop and just crumbles to the ground. To me, it looks like a legitimate sell, but I mean, he might have been just like really hurt, because I feel like something like that, especially Perfect doing that near the ropes, he would like bounced out or something like that, you know, some big crazy style like that.
Yeah. No, that's again, that's that little wrinkle that you don't think about, right? And if you go back and watch that Shawn Michaels match from WrestleMania where he hurt his back, I think it was with Stone Cold, if I'm not mistaken, that's something else that you also go back and watch. But that was a part of the story too that they played up to where Shawn Michaels ended up leaving after that. And I haven't seen that match yet. I've only seen the highlights, so I'm hopefully gonna watch that soon too. But that's something that you think about too whenever you know that there's an injury happening in a match. You see how they work around, like the Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins Hell in a Cell match. You can clearly see that pec is just destroyed.
There's no hiding that thing.
Yeah, and so like they have to work around that still and still tell a crazy good story, which they did. So props to Mr. Perfect for still going out there and putting over Bret Hart the way that he did, especially in that coronation. Because could you imagine if it was anybody else at that time?
Like, what do you mean?
Like if it had been somebody else other than Mr. Perfect to be the one that puts over Bret Hart and launch him into the stratosphere the way that he did. Would there have been anybody on the same level as Mr. Perfect at the time that could have done that job? I guess what I'm trying to say.
That's difficult. I mean, you have to be put in that position to be able to do that. So you have to look at the roster and see who else could have carried that title and feed it to Bret.
Yeah,
I don't know.
So that was a question that I actually have here from my notes. We talked about it with the headlock takeover, right? So the slowing down for moments didn't happen. We talked about like the slowing down for like the headlock takeover, right? And stuff like that. But now, if you look at wrestling, I said this in my previous episode and I hated myself for it, but it kind of feels like that's the common thing, is like it's overproduced, right? You know when a big moment's going to happen because everything slows down and then they start paying attention to the crowd, or they look for the camera, stuff like this. And if the camera angle changes and it's like the camera person from the outside is looking towards the ring and then Bret Hart is talking to coach or something, something's going to happen because like, clearly you're trying to get that shot of him from the back or whatnot, and they're trying to get the TV crowd to see it. The slowing down of the match for those moments never happened.
You don't think so?
Maybe not in the same way that it does now, because now you can kind of see it coming.
Yeah.
Because if a camera changes in a specific way, you're like, oh, something's gonna happen here because this person's gonna rush in the ring or whatnot. I didn't really get the feeling from that from the production side, and that's not a bad thing. I feel it makes it more real, so to speak. Do you think that was a potential necessary evolution for wrestling to still be as good as it is now, or do you think the matches could still be the way that they were back then and still be as impactful today? That's a loaded question, I know.
Yeah, that's loaded, and that may give me trouble if I want to state. I usually try to not state my opinion if it's going to be negative in any way. But I mean, my feelings is that I mean, maybe it led to like the lack of attention spans, but a good story, it's a good story, and if you don't. I play punk rock, and punk rock is very much an aggressive music. It can be just straight open power chords like the whole way, or you can put a little bit of palm muting in there to like sort of bring it down a little bit, bring a little dynamic into it, and things like that. And it's trying to find, sometimes you want to have that sort of aggressive street punk casualties blasting all the way through, or sometimes you may want to like bring a little bit of melody in there and have like a little bit of like harmonies with like Bad Religion and things like that. So there's things for everyone, but does that mean that the casualties can exist and Bad Religion can't anymore because they do that? No, and there's room for everyone. My preference is just I love the storytelling. I love the ebbs and flows.
Yeah. And again, that's not to say that they didn't tell a story either, right?
No.
That's the one thing I'm learning here throughout the show so far is that the stories are always there. It's just being communicated in a different way.
I'm gonna put Kevin on the spot. It's like you can't, if you're always running, you can't get over your character. You can't get over who you are.
Yeah.
So that's why you got to have that sort of slowdown to be able to show who you are. Like Perfect being very aggressive, being very slow and methodical at times. Like one of the things that I've sort of like to do is slap people. Every now and then, like grab them by the chin, because Perfect did that, and I realized like, oh, that's just something that I kind of picked up from him. Pick him up from the chin, show your dominance, smack him once or twice, and really let him know who's boss. Because as much as Bret Hart showed that he was a great wrestler, Mr. Perfect showed his aggression. Like when he wrapped his hands into Bret Hart's hair and just yeeted him across the ring, and Bret Hart went just with the. It sounded so devastating.
Flew. Yeah.
But like at the same time though, Bret Hart's a great wrestler, but he also is willing to give it back. So what did he do? He grabbed Perfect's hair and yeeted him across the ring, all the way down to where he like hit his leg on the post.
Yeah.
So he just gave him just a little bit of extra as a baby face.
Yeah. And then he also just tore off his gear.
Oh yeah.
So I was not expecting. I was like, oh okay, we're just gonna destroy gear now. That's like a lot of money there.
I was actually watching that thing and I was all like, did they plan that? And I'm looking in the back. It's like there's a little slit in the back. It's like I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe he just wanted to get rid of it. This was the one.
This is the one. He's like, yeah, make you look really dominant here.
Hell yeah. So let me see. The next thing I have here is that Earl Hebner is so animated, but we already talked about that. I like the fact that again it was an old match, but it still it holds up. It very much holds up. Like if there's a match that I want to watch, which I'm not gonna say who. They told me, he's like, brother, if you watch this match, you're going to see that 80s wrestling fucking sucks. And I'm like, oh, okay. Because I want to watch Hogan and Andre from WrestleMania 3, because I know that's like a classic match. And again, I'm not going to put them on the spot, but they told me, it's like, this wrestling fucking sucks. And I was like, oh God, like, what am I getting myself into? So now this is, I think, the oldest match I've watched so far. And because we went back to 91, because I think it was like 95 and then... Yeah, so I think this is the oldest match I've watched thus far. And it was really funny, too, because like as soon as I hit play on the video, I heard the music. I was like, bro, this sounds like 8-bit music for Bret Hart coming out. But yeah, like I love the fact that it's 91 and it still holds up today. Because, again, it felt like a fight. It felt like there were, there's the formula that we talk about all the time, and it got me invested. I like the fact that I wanted to see Bret Hart win because Mr. Perfect kept cheating. The commentators kept putting him down. It's like, oh, Bret Hart's not going to do this. What's he going to do? And that's a tale as old as time is when it comes to wrestling. You want to get that baby face over, that when they get their moment, it's a big deal. And, the crowd popped whenever he won.
Yeah. I mean, but even then, like, Bobby, for the most part, was putting him over, like from the first moment of like Mr. Perfect tossing Bret Hart to the outside and him sliding right back in. Like, you hear the little comment by Heenan that says, like, you see, this is how geared up he is for this match. He went to the outside, paid no attention to the coach, and got right back in there. He is ready for this match.
Yeah,
and that's something that's like, you wouldn't think like that coming from a heel commentator.
Yeah. And I did like the fact too that when Mr. Perfect tried to get the count out, is like, I'm done with this match. Yeah. Then is the other side of the story is like, well, that's how you keep your title. This is not how you want to keep your title. It's like, bruh, just stay on where you want to stay.
Did you hear when Mr. Perfect went to grab, like, pissed off that he didn't get the 3 and went up until like Earl Hebner and grabbed him in some manner? He's all like, and Heenan goes like, don't touch him, you'll get disqualified. Well, he'll keep the title that way. All right, then nail him.
It's the little things like that, right? That's a color commentator to me right there, because the color commentator is the personality of the table. And Heenan, just listening to this match, I'm like, this was fantastic. Like, I think I'm gonna tell Sammy, I was like, here, this is what we need, bro, because it's not over the top, but it's perfect justification. And I think Booker and Vic do a great job of this on NXT, and they're currently my favorite commentator duo, because I love listening to NXT because Booker says some of the most stupidest shit in the best way possible, and it fits. It makes sense. And then Vic calls him out on it, and it's like, and Booker's like, mind your business.
Yeah.
Mind your business.
Yeah.
All the time. And I'm just like, bro, I will literally quote Bookerisms from commentary all the time. And I love that some of them are lessons that he actually teaches us here, but it makes sense in the realm of NXT as well. Like, I hear him literally weekly now. I hear him say, preparation's the only luck you're ever going to have. And that's my favorite Bookerism that I've ever heard. I literally want to like put that on my wall. That way it's like I could look at it every day and whatnot. But he makes it just fit. And I feel like that's very Heenan coded, just again, from what I know.
Oh yeah. It's when you listen to Heenan, the way he's able to explain away, him being so lopsided towards the heels, it's just hilarious. Like, was it some match that, like, I think it was a head shrinkers match where, like, I think when the head shrinkers hit him with like a stick, like some sort of like bamboo stick or whatever. What's the cane that we use? Candlestick or some shit like that. He hits him with that. He's like, and you hear the crack. Is like, did you hear that? And Heenan's like, did someone shut the door or something?
Oh, that's so good. Oh man, I'm gonna take some notes on this, and because I'm actually gonna be doing color commentary here at a different place soon. Shouts out to Wildcat, and I'm probably gonna see how much I can get away with just doing some random personality shit like that, because I'm good as an analyst. Like, if you throw it to me and be like, oh, what are the numbers here, what are this, like, what's the story, I'm good at that. The lead play-by-play, I'm still kind of learning how to be perfect at it. Even though I'm never going to be perfect at it, I just want to be close enough as I can.
So who do you like as a play-by-play?
Oh, dude, Michael Cole's the GOAT.
Michael
Cole's my GOAT. And here's my hot take of the show. This is the first time I'm putting this out there. I know people love JR. I love JR. I think I have nothing against him as an individual, nothing as a performer or anything what he's done in his career. But I put Michael Cole over JR.
Okay.
I really, really do. But again, that might change the more I watch, the Attitude Era matches, because I know that's what a lot of people, remember and everything. But I grew up with Michael Cole. So I'm also biased. I will say that I'm absolutely biased.
Enough. I mean, I'm sure that a lot of people don't like my match because of where they grew up in. But you need to check out. You need to check out early '90s WCW JR.
Okay.
It's totally different. I'm not sure if it will work to nowadays, but the amount of how fast he is, how much he does describe and tries to get as much of the character over in it, and just how much just the energy that he has and the excitement. It's almost like are you a Simpsons fan?
Somewhat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Kevin's the Simpsons fan.
Kevin Simpson.
Yeah.
There's this one episode of like they're watching a soccer game, and you have Ken Brockman there like watching them pass the ball to one another, just going back and forth between the players. And Ken's like, yeah, and he takes the ball and he kicks it to this position, and then he kicks it back to that position, and then you go to the Spanish guy's like, yeah, he's passing it to this guy, and he's passing it to that guy, and he's holding it, he's holding it. That's JR.
Okay, I love the fact that you use that analogy, because my favorite video to show people when it comes to commentary is a comparison from English commentators to Spanish commentators in soccer. I'm gonna peel back the curtain here a lot for Summer of Champions, but they had me do Spanish commentary for Summer of Champions, and you can hear the difference in my voice, because when I'm doing English commentary, it's the language that I'm comfortable with. I talk in English. That's technically my first language, even though it's my second. But when I talk in Spanish, all of a sudden I started talking like this, and then I started talking like I'm in Mexico and I'm watching soccer, and oh my god, he's gunning him, he got him, and it sounds so hokey, but that's literally Spanish commentators, dude. There's a clip out there somewhere in the ether of the internet of me saying that every single Hispanic person has that commentator inside of him, and they can say goal, and you can never stop until you run out of breath, which is not going to be for like at least 2 minutes, guaranteed. And it's every single Hispanic, I believe, has that inside him one way or another. You just need to embrace it, and it's gonna come out one day or another.
You know, one time I did that in my room by myself, and I was just like, goal. And then my parents walk in like, what's going on? What are you doing? I'm like,
How long did you go for?
I don't know, enough to draw attention to my parents.
I'm gonna say at least 2 minutes. That way my theory stands. But yeah, no, that's actually really good information, again, because again, I don't want to disparage anybody on this show. Everybody has their own flavors of ice cream and everything. And again, my lens is from 2004 and ahead, and I was a SmackDown guy. I didn't have cable. I didn't hear JR fully up until I was like in 2009, so like 5 years in when I got cable. So, you know, JR was never my thing. And by the time that I started listening to JR was later on, when, you know, the curtain had already been pulled back and I already knew everything about wrestling, or knew everything about wrestling, quote unquote. And, you know, it's really cool to go back and listen to this stuff. Like I put over Mike Tenay in the first episode that I did with Kevin, because I love how he talked about the history of the match, and that was his role. He's the professor for a reason.
That's what I always took you as. I thought you were the Mike Tenay of this as a historian.
And again, that's a very nice compliment that people pay me. But it's literally because at one point I watched Raw, like every episode of Raw, like 5 times over, and I did it once because I wanted to watch the episode, once because I wanted to take notes, once as a fan, once for feedback if anybody wanted feedback, and then I forgot what the 5th one was. And that's how I just remembered everything so much. But at the time, I was also doing less, so it was just easy to keep up with everything. And so when we started this and I did my introduction, like, you're a 2-time Raw champ. It's like, fuck, I forgot. You're right. So it's just because it was so easy to keep up then. But now we have 2 shows, and now I'm not on one show, but I am on the other. And I'm not saying that I don't want to keep up with Platinum.
Excuses.
But I want to put more emphasis on Glory, because that's the show that I'm the one telling the story for and everything. But I also do still help Brad, Chris, and Carolina. So, you know, I do send them notes. I'm like, hey, this is a good note for you guys to have, and then, you know, help them tell their stories and stuff. But it takes a lot, and I'm actually really excited to go back and listen to more matches, because again, hear more Bobby Heenan, hear more Jim Ross, more of the play-by-play guys, hear more Mike Tenay, especially when I get started listening to more TNA and stuff. I'm really excited to just see that, not just for the wrestling aspect of it, because obviously, you know, I'm going to be talking a lot about the wrestling performances as a whole, but there's more facets to wrestling than just the performances in the ring. I'm going to be looking at production. I'm going to be looking at commentators. I'm going to be looking at stories, you know, everything around it. And just going to this match, I think it's really cool to, again, see something so simple be so effective, to where it's 34 years now, and we're still talking about this match. And it's because it meant something to you, and, you know, you wanted to talk about it a little bit further. And, you know, I think it's really cool that this was one of the matches that we managed to put in the early schedule for this show and everything. So, but yeah, cool.
Yeah. Let me know when you do check out some JR, though. I mean,
I will.
And like I said, another way I can try to describe it is like the guy's doing radio.
Yeah.
That's how good. That's how much information he's getting out and how quick he's doing. But yeah, let me know as soon as you do, because I really want to know your opinion on it.
Hell yeah. Alrighty, so let's talk about the finish really quick about this matchup. I did not expect for the match to end as fast as it did, because Bret Hart locks in the sharpshooter, and not even a second later, Mr. Perfect's already tapping. Was that a common occurrence that, you know, if Bret Hart locks in the sharpshooter, it's over like in an instant, or?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it was like. I think it was very much him trying to put the move over and just like, let's just make it quick. I mean, I don't know. There was no tap out then, so you can't see like a visual, hand movement. So you just kind of have to go off the word of the referee. Like, oh yeah, he said it. You know, that's why we had the screw job, because
that's actually something I'm even more interested in, because that's literally where my brain went the first, as soon as like there was no tap out. You have to tell the ref.
All you had to do is either just like, yeah, he said it. All right, so let's move on. Whether he, because I saw him like he was like shaking his head no, and then he was like yeah, like whether it was Hebner or Perfect, he just said yeah, but whatever. I mean, it was, what I found it mostly sounded just the way he put it on. It's like you didn't know what he was doing until like you start seeing the legs crossing over and you start seeing him moving over. I was like, oh shit, he's locking it in. He's locking it in. And he got it.
Yeah. And it was instant. Like I expected there to be like a little bit of a struggle, and just maybe like because again, the moments, right? Yeah. We talk about the moments. If this is the coronation, you would maybe think that there will be like that struggle where you bring the crowd in with the submission, and then you hear like you see the head shake. It's like, no, I don't want to give up, or maybe like push up like the way that Austin did at that WrestleMania match and stuff like that.
But he's a babyface.
That was when he turned. He was a heel going into that match.
But he was but he left babyface.
Sure. But you're right. And that's something that I was thinking about, like watching this match. I didn't expect it to end that quick. The match was, I mean, not to say that the match was quick, but just that finish, like literally flips him over, torques it, done. Boom. It's over. And that made me think, is like, was that like a signature for Bret Hart? Because I mean, he's the one that did the sharpshooter, that he's the hitman for a reason.
I think if it's a finish, this is just my opinion. If you don't tap out within, if you're a heel, you don't tap out within 3 seconds. Are you putting the move over? Booker always says like your losses have to matter just as much as it wins. And when you put someone over, you put them over. There's no kicking out at 3.5. Look up at the lights. Maybe that's the same theory here.
That makes sense. And again, it was
I don't know anything.
None of us do. But yeah, no, that's a good point. That's actually a really good point to bring up, because again, the coronation, right? You want to make your move look deadly, and that could also lead to the story of U.S. champion. As soon as the sharpshooter's locked in, boom, you're not getting out or something like that. Maybe getting an instant win.
But that also goes to like why like Bret Hart kicking out of the perfect place was so big.
Yeah,
because no one. I think someone did actually do it, but they just felt it like they didn't. Bret Hart kicked out. It was a big moment. The crowd popped. The announcers went wild. You see Perfect get up in Hebner's face. No, this cannot be. This cannot be. And and
then he gets stripped.
Yeah. Now, now you have you have your 3-4 moves until you finally get it.
Yeah. No, but that was a really good suggestion for sure. And I really liked the way that this was all, put together. The match itself was put together to put over Bret Hart. And I'm glad that, you put because the one thing is like, I want to talk about classic matches, but I also want to talk about favorite matches too. And I know that I was talking to Gustavo, and he's like, I'm going to show you like some random Shawn Michaels match that nobody remembers. And I was like, okay, cool. But then we ended up going with ECW instead. And instead of going for like a big giant ECW match, he took me on the precursor to the big matchup, and I was like, why are we watching this instead of the big one? And then part of our conversation was that I was like, okay, that's actually really cool. So I like the fact that you're bringing me more matches that maybe not everybody would have been like, oh, this is the one, this is definitely the one you want to watch and stuff.
Yeah, well, I felt a little bit like self-conscious, because you got like Rhines, who's got like the Japanese, and then you have the Joshi with Promise, and I was all like, no, I'm doing the top. I mean, what was it listed like number 3 best
I think it was
SummerSlam
like top
match?
5 or 6.
It's like
Yeah,
obviously
yeah,
I'm going to pick this match, but
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, this was it was my favorite match.
You never know. My favorite random and I'm not saying this is a random match, but my favorite random match was John Morrison versus Evan Bourne on a random episode of ECW after Miz got drafted to Raw. I will never forget that match. I just recently rewatched it when I had the idea for the show, and I was like, that match still holds up. Holy shit.
That is something that's like deep cut.
Yeah.
I'm picking the hits. All right.
Yeah.
I'm doing the Beatles over here.
There you go.
We're trying
Well,
to talk about music.
We'll do deep cuts eventually on this show, and that's gonna be the fun one. Especially, and I was telling Chad Potine this before we got started here. I want to watch Slop. I want to watch like the worst of the worst, because eventually I want to do like the worst of the worst. Where like, why are we watching this?
When you say what qualifies? Like, what do you have in mind? Like, okay, you have to have something in mind when you say the worst of the worst.
I don't. I actually don't. But I do know that there's
What comes to mind?
I don't know. That's the thing. And I don't know what it is. But eventually, as this idea grows, I know people are going to be like, oh, dude, watch this. It's trash. I can't wait. And I was like, okay. Promise has said that the first time somebody suggests trash, she wants to be the one to do it. So I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not going to be to disparage anybody. It's going to be to like, why did we do this? Because sometimes that's good content, you know? And that's what I'm here for. I'm here for the content.
Yeah, until eventually, like, you do it far enough along where someone picks one of my matches.
Nah, that's not gonna happen, brother. You've been good from the get go. I really do think so. There's a reason you've been a 2-time champion, all right? And I will never forget that fact from now on until you win the next one.
And what else?
And a tag team champion.
Thank you.
Yeah, I do remember that part. But Gaspar, thank you so much for your time today, dude. I really hope that you had a blast doing this, and I hope that you liked my take on this match as we talked a little bit more about it. Maybe there was something that you didn't notice with my perspective coming onto the match and stuff. But as I wrap things up here, I always like to ask people what their personal scale is on this out of 5 stars. So where would you put this on your 5-star scale?
Come on, dude. It's 5 all the way, man.
Everybody's going to say 5. I got to find a new thing to go out on.
Who's going to come in here and be like, you know what? On second thought, after watching it, that's a good mid-tier 2.5. I was going to come in and say that.
Here's the funny thing about that. That has already happened. It just hasn't aired yet.
Oh,
so,
that's crazy.
It did happen. It wasn't 2.5. It was a 4-star.
It was a 4-star.
It was a 4-star. But there was a reason for it. And again, I'll let you get to that whenever that releases and whatnot. But cool. Eventually, like I said, that's why I want to find the slop. Because eventually I'm going to be like, this is like -5 stars, bro. What are we watching?
Oh, my goodness.
But plus, it'll just be a fun conversation of like, why this was terrible and stuff like that and whatnot. But no, this match was great. Truly, thank you for exposing me to it and just bringing it to my attention, because I want to watch more and I need to learn more. And I'm glad that I get to watch more Bret Hart now to see why he was as widely regarded as one of the greats as he is now. But
like I said, that's something else that I found out later on in life is
Yeah.
like that Bret Hart was one of the best in the ring.
Yeah.
And didn't know it as a child, but like now seeing it, it's like you start to appreciate like your palate sort of expands a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I didn't like ranch when I was a kid, but now I love ranch. Even though I hate ranch still from all the time.
You're still slumming it. You're still slumming it, kid.
Yeah.
You put ranch on pizza?
I hate ranch, dude. I can't stand ranch. Funny enough.
You hate it now.
I've always hated ranch.
But now you like it.
No, I have always hated ranch. It was just a dumb, a dumb thing that I just wanted to say. But funny enough, I hate white sauces of all kind, like sour cream, ranch, blue cheese, Caesar dressing. What else? Like if it's white and it goes on like it's like as a topping or seasoning, I'm like, I'm out. I can't do it. It's all terrible to me. But Gaspar, as we're wrapping up here, is there anything you would like to plug before we get out of here?
No, just check out my Instagram and check out my Facebook as well as X. I need to hop on that TikTok. I know I need to.
TikTok trends coming from Gaspar Hernandez. You heard it here first.
I have it. I just need to do something with it. But yeah, continuing on with the reality of wrestling and. Yeah, that's it, really.
Alrighty. Well, thank you so much again for your time, Gaspar. I hope you had a blast. I sure did. But ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to throw in your suggestions at missedretrospective@gmail.com. And I'll see you next time for more wrestling action.